everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. And Sam and I are happy to welcome head football coach at CHS, Adam Kelly. Adam, glad to have you.
Well, thanks for having me. Anytime I have the opportunity to talk about my boys, I'm always up for it.
Football is over. State games have been played.
Yes.
So I guess you're practicing now, aren't you?
Yeah, we spent about 3 weeks getting equipment turned in and inventory and getting all those types of things put away and kind of putting it to rest for the winter months. And then we put together our winter and spring off-season lifting and speed conditioning sessions schedule, and we got started on that the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Sam, they're practicing football.
Well, and that's how they get better. Yeah. And that strength and conditioning, I think, in any sport,
Yes, absolutely
pays off. And,
right.
Not something that we were used to when we were young. Guys just went out and played, but now it's a lot of weight training. But, I was very entertained this year with the football team, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up beating the 2 R's, which always makes me smile.
Yeah, both good games, both games that we trailed throughout the games, and both games where our kids, continued to work and play hard and maintain their focus on what we were trying to do. And in both occasions, we were able to come out with a win there at the end.
And not that it really means anything, but that first win over Richmond, first time since the mid-30s, I think, that we had beaten Richmond. So a lot of people have come and gone, and of course for many years we didn't play them. But nice to break that streak.
Yeah, it's definitely a season accomplishment that we hang our hat on and use as something to build moving forward. My son and I, we still sit down and watch that game. It's on the YouTube channel, and or we have it on Huddle on our film, and we'll sit down and we're breaking down the defense and offense and all those types of things. But we're also just watching it for an entertainment factor. It was an exciting game.
It was.
It was fun to be a part of.
Went to overtime.
Yes. Yeah, we scored 22 unanswered points to take the win, and early on in the contest, we shot ourselves in the foot quite a bit. Plus, we allowed their athletes to get out in space. They had a punt return for a score, but other than that, they had one good drive, and our defense did a good job of shutting them down. And then offensively, we made a few adjustments at halftime, and we were able to come out and move the ball.
And made a lot of people happy here.
Yeah,
for sure. And then. Of course, we had some other wins, but defeating Rushville too, that was another big one, because that one seems like it always comes down to the wire.
It does, and you hear that about teams. You can throw the record out and whatever. And I know we played them the last 3 seasons. We played them, maybe not so much last year, but the 2 years previous to them, I felt like we had more talent. I felt like going into those games, not that we were going to blow their doors off, but we should pull these wins out, and we went into those contests and lost. Rushville always plays us hard, and it's always close. The first season I was here, when we beat them in that home opener, we had taken care of business pretty well through the first three and a half quarters, and then they came back and put 2-3 scores on the board late in the fourth quarter and made that one a contest. So we were excited to get that win because they are always a tough win.
Both those games were on the road.
Yes, they were. And again, looking back historically, since I've been here, we have played better on the road than we have at home. And we've tried to do different things at home to try to make our home game almost like a road game. We've bussed the kids to Roberts Park for our pregame meal, and then bust them back in at 5 o'clock. This year we did. We ate in the cafeteria up at the school, and then watched a movie or something in the school itself, and then walk down about the time we would arrive on the bus. So for whatever reason, I think it's more of a business type feel, where when we're at home, there's a long pause between school getting out and actually going through our pregame walkthroughs and those types of things. Where when it's an away game, we're in a hurry. We get off, we get out of school, we eat pretty quick, grab our gear, we're on the bus, we get off the bus again. It's a pretty quick turnaround, and we're on the field warming up. So I don't think there's a lot of time for sitting around. So we've played well on the road since I've been here. Now we need to learn how to transfer that to the home games where most people feel like
Yeah,
they have the
home
home
field
advantage.
advantage.
Yeah.
Right. For sure.
Assess the season for us, Adam. What do you think of your players?
Oh, we had it was a good team season in terms of, we had some individual that had some great performances. Dalton Du Bois had several games where he was in the 200-plus yard, and even the Rushville game he was over 300 yards.
Yes.
And he ended up beating our single-season rushing record before it was all said and done with 1,497 yards. And his average was over 10 yards per carry. But on the other side of that was Donovan Foreman, our fullback, who had a lot of great individual performances, who had over 800 yards rushing, and he had most of his inside the tackles. We run that triple option or double option with the belly, and so Foreman had a lot of hard yards in the middle, and then Dalton, he was able to benefit from a lot of that by getting the ball out on the edge and making big plays for us.
They're both a lot of fun to watch.
They are. We're going to miss them greatly, and we're looking for the next group that's going to step in, our next duo to step in and take over the offensive production for us. But throughout the season, they played really well as a team. They got along well in practice. They got along well in the locker room. They looked out for each other throughout the season, and they showed up and they had fun every day. And so, not that we haven't had that over the past 5 or 6 years, but not as consistently as we had that this season. So it was a good experience from a coaching perspective.
Both those young men are seniors, as you alluded to.
Yes.
They'll be leaving CHS. What are you looking for replacements? How the JV team do?
The JV team struggled a little bit, but we have a very small sophomore, which will be our junior class next year. So we only have 5 or 6 kids in that class. We had a lot of them step away from football and focus their efforts in other areas. We hope to get a few of them back going into their junior year, but we're not sure. We're going to move forward with what we have. So we're going to have a lot of sophomores next year. They're going to have to step in and fill some holes, which on the varsity team you don't necessarily want that. But we feel like we have some decent kids that will step in and do what's necessary. We're losing a couple of our offensive linemen, but we're maintaining, I believe, 3 out of the 5 will stay, plus our tight end. Or both of our tight ends will be back. Our quarterback will be back. We have to replace the backfield. And then defensively, we'll have to replace 2 of our 3 down linemen. All of our linebackers, -1, will be back. So 4 out of our 5 linebackers will be back. And then 2 out of our 3 defensive backs will be back. So we have some pieces coming back with some good experience and good leadership. Jason Beckman and, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, 58. Not that I don't remember his name, but those guys on our defensive side of the ball, they'll be 3-year starters next year as seniors. So we expect them to step in and really help out the young guys that have to step in.
Adam, the quarterback, is your son?
Yes.
Just a freshman?
Yes.
So good things ahead.
Yeah, he did a good job for us.
Yes.
In the Greensburg game, he went down with an injury. It really showed some toughness coming back there. And halfway through the second quarter, I went to him on the sideline and said, "Buddy, sorry, but you got to play." And he said, "Okay, tape it up as tight as you can, and I'll give it a shot." He had a partial tear in his hamstring, and he didn't miss the start. He played. It limited his mobility, which limited our offense and what we could do. The bootleg and sprint out passing game, which was going to be a big part of what we do. We were unable to do that. We were also unable to get him out on the edge on the triple option, so we had to go to more of a power eye set so that we knew definitively where the ball was going and took some of the option piece out of his hands. And then by week 9, that injury healed up and he was able to be mobile again. So he's playing basketball right now, which will help him with his footwork and leadership abilities and confidence and those types of things. Coach Brown does a great job developing those guys.
Yes.
And then we're going to do some off-season stuff up in Indianapolis with some quarterback coaches and those types of things with him.
With the schedule that we play and freshman quarterback, I thought he held his own and really. Really looking to the future. I think that the way that he was able to play and, like I say, the tough schedule that we play is only going to make us better for years to come here. And the good news is we got him 3 more years.
Right. And he showed a lot of as a freshman stepping in at what may be the most pressure-packed position on the field, he showed a lot of poise and a lot of confidence for a young man. So we were excited to see that. That was the question mark. We knew he's a decent athlete, but will he be able to handle that pressure? And he proved that he could, no problem.
We talked about, Dave and I talked about on the air when he first game or two, that we thought maybe he was born with a football in his hand. But
pretty close. Pretty close. He's been around it for a long time.
Yes, he has. And,
You have a new team on the schedule coming in,
Yes.
replacing Indianapolis team. Got Jennings County.
Yes.
So, what do you think? What do you know about them?
I feel like Jennings County, their football program seems to be somewhat on the same wavelength as ours, or they have some, they'll have a good season or have a couple good seasons, and then they have to kind of rebuild from the bottom up. And so you can hit them on a year where they're a 7-4 team, or a 8-2 type team, or you may hit them on a year where they're down and they're a 1-9 or a 2-8 type thing. So it's going to be, in my opinion, I think it'll be a very competitive series for us. And so when they had that opening, I don't remember if we reached out to them or they reached out to us, but that was a definite, we want to get those guys on our schedule.
They're coached from Connersville, right?
I'm not sure.
Was Coach Zimmerman? Is that his name?
I'm not sure.
Okay. At one time, there was,
There was a guy from Connersville in there.
And he may not be now.
But we feel like that'll be a good pickup for us. And Broad Ripple was, it's a good win. You put it on your schedule, you feel like you're going to get a win, but we want to play competitive football. We don't want to beat people 60 to nothing.
And you go to Broad Ripple, or I think we went to Northwest one time, and nobody's there.
Right.
And that's not a lot of fun either, I don't think.
No.
It's nice to have, we would take more people on the road than they would have. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to have some people on the other side of the stands, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It creates a better atmosphere, definitely.
Certainly.
Eastern Indiana Athletic Conference had a state championship.
Yes.
East Central got the job done.
They did, and I don't think they really expected this year to be their year. They were really young. I think they have 7 or 8 guys returning on both sides of the ball next year, so they're going to be even better than they were this year. And when we played them, their quarterback had a broken hand, so they were playing with their junior varsity quarterback. And I think for several games throughout the season, they played without their starting quarterback and still manhandled almost everybody they played, except for when they went down and played Lawrenceburg, and they had a tough one with them.
The opening game of the season, I believe.
And then the 2 seasons and the 2 games against Harris or Ohio teams. So I don't want to say they struggled, but they ran into some really good competition and lost a couple games. But it's fun to watch them play. We went and I watched them play the semi-state game. The regional game. And that team out of Evansville that came in and where they were ranked #1, and they didn't know what they ran into when they got to East Central. East Central just ran over top of them, and it frustrated the heck out of that other squad.
Gives our conference a lot of credibility, I think.
It does. It does. Last year, Lawrenceburg was in the 3A state championship game. The year before that, East Central was in the 4A. This year, East Central wins the 4A state championship game. There's a lot of competitive teams. I know Batesville, they got beat by a point or 2 points in their playoff game that they lost to a very good team. So there's a lot of good football being played in this part of the state, and it's really good for us to be a part of that and for our kids to see what that is. And so we aspire, as a coaching staff, we're aspiring to simulate what those guys are doing and the level of play that they have, and as players, our guys are talking about their teams and hopefully aspiring to play that way as well.
Gives our kids a chance to be seen too when there are scouts going, and we've got some fine players as well, so possibly an opportunity for some of our young men.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk about your program, Adam. You start with these youngsters in the first grade, don't you?
Yes. I coach the first grade team each year. Try to. This year I ended up with the second grade team because we didn't have a second grade coach, so I ended up moving up to second grade. But we start in first grade and go all the way up through the senior year, opportunities to play tackle football. Our league is essentially the Eastern Indiana Athletic Conference, or it's East Central's in there. Everybody that we play in at the varsity level, our youth league plays and plus Milan. We have Milan in the youth league, which we don't have up at the varsity level. And in our middle school, for the most part, we play our conference. There's a couple games out of conference, and we're trying to maneuver that and get all of the conference opponents on there. And then obviously at the high school, we play all of our conference opponents. So all of our grade levels are playing kids that they're going to play if they stay here at Connersville every year that they play football. And what it's really done at the younger levels, I think, is helping bring parents on board. It shows them what we're about, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, not just the football aspect of it, but the nurturing young men and trying to turn them into credible young men. And I think we're getting more and more parents on board at the youth level, which as we continue on, if I'm allowed to continue on in my position, we will here real soon, we're going to really see some of the fruits of that labor.
Congratulations on the program you started here at Connersville. We know it's going to pay off in big dividends here shortly.
We're hoping so. And we saw, 2 years ago, looking ahead, we felt like this year coming up was going to be it would be the starting point of it. And we have a great group of seniors coming back next year. That sophomore class where it's small, so when they become seniors, that will be something where we may hit a little bit of a glitch. But after that, we feel like we have solid numbers in each class all the way down through the program. So we're pretty excited about it.
Sam, I know you're thinking a lot about the program too. You're very pleased with it.
Oh, very much so. And I think it's great that we have somebody that played in the program here now leading that. And I like it when our young people can come back, no matter whether they're teachers or whatever they do. My son, your good friend, that he came back to town and has a business. You had an opportunity to come back to town, and we see a lot of the brain drain, but when we can get people back and get them involved in the community, and I know that you take a lot of pride having been a Spartan yourself and now leading the Spartans.
Absolutely, and there's a personal attachment to it.
Sure.
More so than any. Even though I put my heart and soul into every job I've ever had, but this one has just a little bit extra to it, and there's a little bit more of a challenge to it because of the lack of winning tradition here in Connersville. And I'm a kind of a challenge guy, and I hate it when people tell me I can't do something. So we're really invested in our youth, our varsity coaches as well. We had four of our varsity assistants this year coach the youth league team. 2 of them don't even have kids on the youth league team that they help coach. Our junior high assistants are involved. They come up to the high school and help us on game day. They're involved in the clinics that we're attending and those types of things. And our youth league coaches, we're really implementing some things to get them the right knowledge so they understand what we're trying to do and the drills and all those kinds of things. We have clinics for them. We will have clinics for them in the spring and summer. And we do a heads-up certification for them, so they have to take a class to make sure that we're teaching tackling the right way. And so we're really trying to do this thing the right way, and hopefully we are.
I think it shows too that on Friday nights stands are full out there, and win or lose, people of the community they come out to support the team, and I take satisfaction in seeing that. I'm sure you do too.
Absolutely, and you're right. We've only had a few winning type seasons since I've been here in 6 years, and the crowd's full night in and night out. Regardless of who we're playing and regardless of what our record is, the Connersville community has supported us in both home and away games. Like you said, we travel to Broad Ripple or Indy Northwest, and we have a pretty packed crowd, and they have, unfortunately only 3 or 4 people on the other side.
Yes. And you got to feel sorry for their kids that are out there giving it their all.
Yes, and it get a lot of respect for those kids and those coaching staffs because they're truly doing it for the love of the sport and the love of the game. And not that our kids aren't, but it helps to have those people in the background cheering you on, encouraging you to continue to work hard. I've got other people that are depending on me somewhat, but those guys, they're on their own. So, and our crowd, I will watch the Richmond game on the YouTube. I forget the name, Radio Troy or whatever it is. He did that, and you can hear our crowd from across the way. And you can kind of hear Richmond's crowd, but you hear the Connersville crowd from across the way. So definitely a good following, and we appreciate it.
Speaking of crowds, the Spartan Bowl is being used now. You probably have heard about it.
Yes, I've been there once or twice.
Sam, a couple of pretty good ball games last week.
Yeah, sure were. And at first one Friday night that you were there against Rushville and opened the conference season.
Yes.
With a win. The last loss that we had was 3 years ago in the conference over at Rushville. Bo Isaacs went down and with a knee injury, and Spartans reeled off 20 straight conference victories after that, and now make it 21 after Friday night. So
quite a record.
Congratulations to them. And then Saturday night, what a game that was! Right down to the wire, 7.2 seconds to play, and they get the ball inbound to Garrett, and he goes coast to coast, and a nice fingertip runner, and
went in,
and we won. And I've seen that several people had recorded that on their phone, and that's been all over social media. And you know, I think it's Garrett's just a nice young man, and silky smooth with his play. And I think it's time to start talking about second All-Star in a row here for
I agree.
Connersville.
We were at the game with Rushville, and here's some of the highlights from that game with the Lions at Spartan Bowl. Getting underway here, the warm-up, and
That reminds me of Coach Kelly. He used to be that Spartan warrior there at Spartan Bowl coming down.
game underway.
Speaking of Garrett, right there he was, opened the game with a 3.
Right. Where's number 12?
Rushville more physical, I think, than the Spartans, but Spartans able to
Yeah, that was
prevail.
Gage Rosenfeld who put in that three-pointer, and Lions were out in front early in the ball game.
This, of course, this game, Coach Brown won 3 sectionals over at Rushville, and I know this is a game that both sides look to
Oh, every
somewhat
year.
before because of that.
Pretty good rivalry going, right? He was over there 6 years. So,
But as you know, it's been a rivalry since we were youngsters.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, in every sport. There's Wes Smith.
Yeah, Wes really coming on, and Braxton
Yes.
Reveley with the bounce pass
Real
up
happy
ahead.
with
There's
his
Wes
play.
again. Wes doing a nice job. Here he'll complete the 3-point play. And Garrett off to the races. So it's just a lot of good fundamental basketball. I think Noah Belt taking it in.
Styled, I think.
And Spartanettes, you know, we're fortunate that to have the entertainment we have at halftime, both at basketball as well as at football games. And
It's a three-pointer by Gage Rosenfeld for the Lions. I think Rushville's a better team than they were last year. They only won 3 games last year.
yeah, and you know, they lost Saturday night at New Pal, or I don't know if New Pal might have been at Memorial Gym, but a little bit of hard luck. But they're a strong team. I mean, physically they're strong.
Yes, yes.
So there's the final. Spartans win that one by 10.
And I know Kerry was commenting on the game. It wasn't one of our best games, but it was a conference game. And he said, we're not giving that back. So.
And win is a win. You take that,
Absolutely.
whether it's ugly or pretty or whatever.
Around the area, might talk a little bit about some of the games that are coming up here. It'll be the area boys basketball. Richmond is 1-2. Their last game was postponed with East Central because the Trojans are celebrating their football championship, and the Red Devils play Friday at Marion. Union County is 2-1. Their last game was a win over Knightstown, and they're home with Hagerstown on Friday. Franklin County is 2-1. They defeated Centerville and play at Rushville on Friday. Rushville is 0-3. They lost to New Palestine and meets Franklin County Friday. Centerville 1-3, lost to Franklin County. It's home Friday to Randolph Southern. Cambridge City is 2-1. Their last game at Union Modoc was postponed. They go to Nicetown Friday. I don't know why the postponement, but it was postponed for some reason.
Wasn't because of football.
No, I don't think so. So that's what kind of happened. I might check some of the area teams, how they're doing. The girls are 5-3. They lost their last game to Rushville. They host Franklin County on Tuesday. Rushville is 5-4. Their last game a loss to Westfield. Their next game Saturday at Greensburg. Franklin County is 6-2. They defeated Shelbyville. Tuesday they play at Richmond. The Centerville girls are 3-6. They lost a game to Northeastern, and they play Wednesday night against Union City at Centerville. Cambridge City is 4-5. They've lost to Wapahani. They have a home game Tuesday with National Trails, Ohio. Union County 4-5, lost at Morristown. They're home Wednesday against Hagerstown. In the area, the boys basketball is shaping up like this. It'll be Richmond, I believe, will be playing their last game. 1-2 is their record right now. Their last game, as we say, was postponed. We went through that a little bit here, and but we wanted to talk about sports coming up this week at CHS, but I believe it's not on our screen, so I'll see if I can read some of the events coming up. I know, Sam, you got a busy week. You go to tomorrow night to Newcastle for girls, don't you?
Chrysler Fieldhouse with the girls tomorrow night. Dave and I will be there, and I hope you can tune in. And then on Saturday, big day, Fran, we go to Lawrenceburg with the girls on Saturday, and then the boys play at Pendleton Heights Saturday night. So
Okay.
we're going to have to beat it out of Lawrenceburg and hope there's not an overtime.
Well, I hope if you win those 3 games, you can be on the show next week again. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Nothing doing at CHS today. Co-ed swimming with Richmond at the CHS Natatorium at 5:30 on Tuesday. The girls basketball, as we just talked about, will be at Newcastle tomorrow night. And the freshman basketball plays Newcastle at CHS at the gym beginning. The tip-off will be at 6:30. On Wednesday, the co-ed wrestling will be at South Dearborn at 6. Girls basketball meets Rushville at the CHS gym at 6 o'clock. That's freshman girls. On Thursday, the boys freshman basketball team plays Cambridge City Lincoln at 6:30 at the CHS gym. Co-ed swimming with Centerville at 5:30 at the CHS pool. That's Thursday. On Saturday, girls basketball, as we mentioned, at Lawrenceburg. The JV game will be at noon, the varsity at 1:30. Boys basketball at Pendleton Heights. JV at 6. The varsity game follows. Also freshman basketball at Pendleton Heights at 6 o'clock. Co-ed wrestling in the Super 5 at 9 in the morning on Saturday, and co-ed swimming at East Central at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. This week at the middle school, today, boys red basketball is at Sunman Dearborn. The boys white basketball team is playing Sunman Dearborn at Spartan Arena. On Wednesday, the middle school boys white team will be at Cambridge City at 6. And on Saturday, the boys red team hosts a basketball invitational starting at 9 o'clock at Spartan Arena. It's been a pleasure to have you, Adam, and I know you're going to have a busy off season because Coach never ends, does it?
No, it's 365 days a year. That's Saturdays and Sundays.
Sam, I know we're happy to have Adam with us.
Always happy to have him. Always glad to see him.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate the job he's doing at CHS, and I know it's you're turning around the program.
We're working hard.
Thanks again, Adam, and Sam, win those, and we'll see you.
All right.
Okay.
See you next week.
Thanks, everybody, for watching this edition of the Spartans Report here on TV3.